Rain tapped the roof of St. Mark's Chapel like a steady drumbeat. Inside, it was deathly silent. A child-sized coffin sat at the front of the altar, draped in lilies and white roses. Framed photos of an 11-year-old girl, laughing in a soccer jersey, grinning with missing teeth, lined the stage. Her name, Emily Carter. Mourning people filled the pews, heads bowed, eyes swollen. Her mother, Sophie Carter, trembled uncontrollably in the first row, wrapped in a shawl she hadn't removed in 3 days. The pastor stood frozen, waiting for the signal to begin the final prayer. Then came the bark. Sharp, sudden, piercing. All heads turned. Rex, a massive German shepherd with intelligent amber eyes, broke from the aisle and lunged toward the coffin. He barked again, loud, aggressive, his hackles raised, teeth bared. "What the hell?" Someone gasped. Sophie screamed. 2 ushers jumped forward, trying to restrain the dog, but he dodged them with surgical precision. He leapt onto the raised platform and stood on his hind legs, paws on the coffin, snarling. "Rex, down!" a voice cut through the chaos. Harper Lane, a police lieutenant in plain clothes, rushed forward. She shoved past people, eyes locked on the dog. But Rex didn't move. His growls lowered into something guttural, his nose pressed to the center of the coffin lid. And then, he whimpered. One long, low cry. Harper froze. She had trained with Rex for years. He wasn't aggressive, wasn't reckless. This wasn't confusion. This was a warning. The pastor whispered, "Should we evacuate?" "No," Harper said. "Open it." A hush fell. "What?" Sophie's voice cracked. "Why?" She's already... "Just trust me," Harper said, voice low. "Something's wrong." Rex stepped back, watching. Harper reached for the coffin's latch. Her fingers trembled. She unhooked the seal and slowly, carefully lifted the lid. Gasps erupted. No one moved. Emily lay inside, pale, still. But something was off. Her lips weren't just blue. They were blistered. Her fingernails, discolored. And around her wrist, barely visible beneath the sleeve of her white dress, were faint bruises in a circular pattern. Harper stared. Her eyes narrowed. "I want this coffin sealed and transported to forensics, now!" Sophie collapsed in her seat, sobbing uncontrollably. A man from the back of the chapel pushed forward. "Lieutenant Lane, this isn't protocol. The child drowned. We confirmed it." It was Chief Hank Mueller, dressed in his funeral blues. Harper turned sharply. "I'm changing protocol. You don't have the authority. Watch me." Rex growled again. The tension was tangible. Officers looked at each other. The funeral had turned into something else, something darker. "Everyone out," Harper ordered. "Service is over." The chapel emptied in silence. Just Harper, Muller, and Rex remained. "What are you doing, Lane?" Muller hissed. "You're going to make the department look like fools." "She didn't drown." Muller blinked. "Excuse me." Harper didn't respond. She knelt beside Rex, placed her hand on his head. "You smelled something, didn't you?" Rex licked her hand. Quiet, steady. The dog had spoken. Not in words, but with instinct. With truth. Harper stood. "I'm opening a formal inquiry into Emily Carter's death." "You'll need a damn good reason." "I have one," Harper said, turning toward the door. She barked. Rex followed her out, tail stiff, head high. And inside the chapel, the white coffin sat cracked open. But now, everyone watching knew. This wasn't just a tragedy. It was a crime. The medical van pulled up behind the chapel as rain thickened to a curtain. Forensics loaded the coffin into the back. No one spoke. No one made eye contact. Harper climbed into her cruiser. Rex jumped into the back seat, circling once before sitting alert, ears pricked. "That wasn't water damage," she murmured. She dialed. "Noah, it's Harper. I'm bringing in Emily Carter's body. You need to clear your table. Now." A pause. "I thought that case was closed." "It's not." She ended the call. At Port Haven Forensics, the lights inside flickered. Dr. Noah Finch stood waiting, lab coat open, mask already around his neck. His hair was tousled, like he hadn't slept. Again. "You serious about this?" he asked as they wheeled the coffin in. Harper didn't blink. "Rex called it." Finch sighed. "Well then, that's all the confirmation I need." Inside the autopsy room, the mood shifted. Finch peeled back the sheet, checked her vitals, eyes, nails. He slowed at the bruises on her wrist. "Those are grip marks, uniform pressure, possibly plastic ties." Harper's stomach dropped. "Cause of death?" "Still need to run tox, but if I had to guess..." He pointed to Emily's lips. "This wasn't drowning. It was poisoning. Or sedation. Maybe both." Harper looked at Rex. He was sitting beside the table, ears low, tail not moving. "Jesus," she whispered. They stepped outside. "What the hell happened at that lake?" Finch muttered. Harper didn't answer. Her mind raced. Emily was supposed to be at summer camp 2 hours away. Camp Oak Ridge. But she turned up dead at the lake near town. The camp director had called it an accident. The autopsy back then was done quickly, no full tox panel. She pulled out her notebook. Scribbled, "Why was she returned home early? Why no camp escort? Why wasn't a full tox screen ordered?" Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She picked up. "Lieutenant Lane?" "Yes." "You don't know me, but I knew Emily." "Who is this?" "She didn't drown. That camp. Things happened there. You need to look under the main hall." Click. The call ended. Harper froze. Rex growled. "Track it?" Finch asked. Harper was already dialing Trace Ops. "Phone call came from a burner, traced to a public park payphone near the South Docks." The tech reported minutes later. "Of course it did." Harper muttered. She turned to Rex. "You up for a little recon?" He barked once. Short. Determined. They arrived at the park as daylight bled into dusk. It was empty, wind sweeping leaves into eddies. Harper approached the payphone. Rex sniffed around the base. His tail stiffened. He barked once, then started digging. Something clinked beneath the soil. She reached in. A USB drive. Back at the lab, she plugged it in. One folder, one video. She clicked play. It was grainy. Night vision. A girl crying. Emily. She was in a room. Cold, concrete, fluorescent light above. She was saying a name. "Rich, please, I want to go home." Then a man's voice. "Shh, quiet now. Quiet, sweetheart." Harper slammed her laptop shut. "Rich?" Finch had turned pale. "Richard Klein, assistant camp director. He left last year after... rumors." "What rumors?" He hesitated. "Inappropriate conduct. Never proven. He moved to Oregon City." Rex barked loudly. Harper stared at the screen. Emily hadn't drowned. She'd been silenced. She opened a file on her laptop. Typed in bold. "Emily Carter. Reopened." She looked at Rex. We're going to Camp Oak Ridge. Rex growled softly. He understood. Camp Oak Ridge was 30 miles north of Port Haven, tucked deep in the woods, behind gates that hadn't seen oil in years. The sign out front read, "Summer Memories Made Here," but the paint peeled, and one of the letters dangled by a nail. Harper pulled up just after dawn. Rex jumped out first, nose twitching. His posture shifted the moment his paws hit the ground. "Something's off," Harper muttered. The campgrounds were eerily still. Cabins stood like forgotten skeletons in the mist. A crow cawed from a treetop, breaking the silence. The main hall loomed ahead. Harper knocked on the front door. No answer. She tried again. Nothing. She reached for the handle. Unlocked. Inside, the air was stale, smelled of mold and bleach. Chairs stacked in the corner, walls lined with faded camper photos. A few smiling faces. One of them, Emily, her hair in braids, her smile wide. But her eyes, they looked distant. Rex growled, low, focused. He darted forward, nose glued to the floor, past the counter, toward the back office. The door was closed. "Stay close," Harper whispered. She reached for her sidearm, nudged the door open. The room was empty. Files scattered. A coffee mug still warm. Someone had just been there. Rex moved to the far wall, scratched once, twice. "Something behind this?" She tapped the wood. Hollow. She pushed the file cabinet aside, revealing a narrow trap door. Of course. She pried it open. A stairwell descended into darkness. "Flashlight," she muttered, pulling one from her belt. "Let's go." Rex didn't hesitate. He descended ahead of her, step by careful step. Below, the air turned colder, damp, metallic. The walls were concrete, the floor stained. At the end of the hall, another door. This one locked. Harper tried her shoulder. Nothing. Rex whined, backed up, barked. From above, footsteps, running. "Damn it!" Harper turned. "We're not alone." She bolted up the stairs. A shadow darted past the front window. She gave chase, Rex on her heels. Outside, a figure in a hoodie sprinted toward the woods. "Stop! Police!" The figure didn't. Rex exploded forward. The man tripped on a root. Rex was on him in seconds, teeth to throat, growling. Harper caught up, gun drawn. "Hands where I can see them." The man froze, panting, late 20s, beard, thin frame, sweat drenched his shirt. I didn't do anything." Harper cuffed him. "Then why'd you run?" "I saw you break in. I got scared." "Who are you?" "Eli Harker, groundskeeper. I just mow the lawn and clean the kitchen. I didn't know—" "Didn't know what?" His eyes flicked toward the hall. "That someone was using the basement." Harper narrowed her eyes. "I found things. Cots, chains, weird stains. I told Klein. He said it was old storage, but I heard crying down there one night." "When?" "Last summer. Before or after Emily died?" "Before." She stepped back. "You're coming with me." Back at the precinct, she ran Eli's prints. Clean. Too clean. No employment record, no taxes filed, no ID. "What's your real name, Eli?" Silence. Rex snarled. Okay. My name's Paul. Paul Rendell. I was in juvie with Klein. He said I could lay low here." "So you knew. I didn't touch that girl. I swear." "Then who did?" "I don't know. It was just him and this guy. Some investor. Big SUV, sunglasses. Came at night. Left envelopes." "What envelopes?" "Money. Thick ones. Klein said to keep quiet and I'd stay fed." Harper stared him down. You're going back out there with me. Rex barked once. They returned that night. With a crowbar and bolt cutters, Harper cracked the lock. The door groaned open. Inside, a room. Small. Soundproofed. No windows, mattress on the floor, camera rig in the corner, bloodstain on the wall. Faint, but fresh enough to churn her stomach. Rex growled, then sniffed the wall. He barked twice. Alert. Focused. Harper pulled out her phone. Filmed everything. They'd found the chamber. This wasn't just about Emily anymore. It was bigger, deeper, organized, and someone very powerful wanted it buried. Captain Eleanor Harper stood before the Port Haven City Council chamber with her jaw tight. The projector behind her showed the room under Camp Oak Ridge. The cot. The camera. The bloodstain. She let the silence hang. We found it 3 feet under the main hall. Concealed. Soundproofed. It wasn't for storage. Councilman Briggs shifted in his seat. And you're saying this was active? Not just active. Organized. Do you have names? Harper hesitated. One confirmed. Richard Klein, former assistant director. The rest are aliases. One is tied to multiple donations to Camp Oak Ridge's trust fund, from shell companies. You think someone on this council is involved? She didn't flinch. I think someone in this city wants it buried. Briggs stiffened. That's a serious accusation. Harper turned off the projector. Not an accusation. A warning. Outside, rain tapped the windshield of her cruiser like fingers drumming impatience. Rex sat beside her, watching traffic. You felt it too, right? She asked softly. Rex gave a low whine. She turned the ignition. Back at the station, tech analyst Sophie Kim waved her over. I decrypted the rest of that USB. Sophie said, eyes darting. It wasn't just video. There's a folder labeled patrons, names, numbers, payout logs. Harper leaned in. How many? Dozens. Maybe more. And one. It's a sitting judge. She felt her stomach drop. Who? Sophie tapped the screen. Judge Marcus Lively. Family Court. Harper stepped back. Her pulse kicked up. He's the one who ordered the Carter case sealed. Exactly. A storm was coming. Harper made a call. Get me the Carter family. Now! 30 minutes later, Greg and Dana Carter arrived, their faces pale, eyes hollowed from grief. Why are we here? Dana asked, voice trembling. I'm reopening Emily's case, and I need you to see this. She played them the night vision video from the USB. Dana broke down. Greg slammed his fist into the desk. My daughter begged for her life, and that bastard judge said it was an accident. Harper knelt beside Dana. I promise you, this isn't ending here. Rex walked over, rested his head on Dana's knee. She touched his fur. He knew, didn't he? Yes, Harper said. Rex knew. After they left, Harper sat in silence. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number, again. She answered. Harper. You were warned, a distorted voice said. Stop digging. Or what? The call ended. She turned to Sophie. Track that. Sophie typed rapidly. Burner, but the cell tower ping shows it came from 2 blocks away. Someone's close. Harper's mind flashed. Pull up any recent hires at Camp Oak Ridge. Maintenance, janitorial, anything. Sophie nodded. You think they planted someone inside? I think we're looking in the wrong direction. This isn't just a backwoods camp. It's a front. That night, Harper took Rex for a walk through her neighborhood. Fog hugged the pavement. Every shadow felt heavier. Halfway down the block, Rex stopped, growled. What is it? He bolted into a backyard, barking. Harper followed, gun drawn. Behind a bush, someone fled. She gave chase. Stop! The figure scaled a fence. Harper followed. Rex lunged, tackled the man. She yanked the hoodie down. Bloodied. Beard. Eyes wide. Paul Rendell. You ran. I was followed. Someone tried to kill me. Who? He shook his head. I don't know. Black SUV, tinted windows. I left the motel and they were just there. She cuffed him. You're going back into protective custody. Back at the station, she locked him in an interview room. Then she stared at the wall. This wasn't about one dead girl. It was a network, and Port Haven was the center. The air in the precinct felt heavy, like a storm brewing just outside the walls. Captain Harper sat across from Paul Rendell in the dimly lit interrogation room, her arms crossed, jaw clenched. Rex lay by the door, ears alert, watching every twitch of Rendell's fingers. You were a counselor at Camp Oak Ridge for 3 years, Harper said, voice low. You had access. You knew what was happening. I didn't know, he whispered, eyes darting. Not at first. They were careful. It was all off hours, after lights out. You recorded that video. He swallowed hard. I wasn't supposed to. I knew something was wrong with that girl. Emily. She was too quiet. Eyes hollow. Then why not report it? His voice cracked. Because I tried, and the next day my car exploded. Harper flinched. Exploded? I was inside, he said, voice rising. They missed the wiring. I got out. I ran. Rex let out a low growl. Harper leaned closer. Names. Give me one. One person who made that place run. Rendell hesitated. Then, Dr. Rhea Langston. She was the camp's physician. But she wasn't treating colds. She was screening. For what? He looked up. For compliance. She'd flag the kids who were too loud, too scared, too much of a risk. Harper's stomach twisted. Outside, Sophie burst in, holding a laptop. You need to see this. She spun the screen around. Surveillance footage. Time-stamped. 2 nights ago. A black SUV pulling up outside a small clinic. Dr. Rhea Langston stepped out. She's still in town, Sophie said. Harper didn't hesitate. Where's the clinic? Eastwood Avenue. Back entrance is unmonitored. Harper was already moving. 30 minutes later, she and Rex stood in the shadowed alley behind the clinic. Rain had started, a soft hiss against the concrete. Rex stiffened. What is it, boy? He sniffed the air, growled, then darted toward a side door. It was unlocked. They slipped in. Inside, the place smelled like bleach and secrets. Medical cabinets lined the walls. No sound, just the drip of a faucet somewhere deeper in. Rex led her to a back room. Inside, a cot. A blood-stained blanket. Hand restraints. A whimper. She spun. In the corner, behind a cabinet, a girl no older than 13. Curled up. Eyes wide with terror. Harper crouched. It's okay. I'm here to help. My name's Elena. The girl shook her head. She said not to talk. Said they'd come back. Who? The door creaked behind them. Harper drew her weapon. Rhea Langston stood in the doorway, hands up. You're making a mistake. Hands where I can see them. I'm not the villain here, Langston said. I was protecting them. Do you know what happens when you take away the filters? Harper's eyes narrowed. Filters. Langston smirked. There's always demand, and someone has to make sure the product doesn't scream. Rex lunged. Langston bolted, but not fast enough. Rex caught her at the doorway, pinning her to the floor with a snarl. Harper cuffed her hard. You're going away forever. Back at the precinct, the girl, her name was Lila, sat in a warm blanket, sipping hot cocoa. Harper watched her from the hallway. She's one of Emily's bunkmates, Sophie said. We found a photo. Does she know what happened? She heard it. Said Emily was taken after lights out, never came back. Harper exhaled, slow and sharp. Later that night, as she drove home, Rex curled up in the back seat, a presence both calming and alert. The city lights blurred through rain. She glanced in the mirror. They're not just covering up abuse. They're running a ring. Systemic. Protected. Rex blinked at her. We're not done, boy. Not even close. And somewhere, in the darkness of Port Haven, someone picked up a burner phone. She's getting close. A pause. Then end it. Tonight. The night air felt too still. Captain Elena Harper gripped the steering wheel tighter as she pulled into her driveway. Porch light was off. Unusual. Rex growled low in his throat. Easy, she whispered, reaching for her sidearm. She stepped out of the car, Rex by her side, ears high, body coiled. The front door creaked open. She hadn't left it unlocked. Rex moved first, nose down, silent. Inside, darkness swallowed the house. Harper flicked on the hallway light. Silence. She moved slowly down the corridor, checking corners. Rex halted by the kitchen, hackles raised. A shape moved. Harper aimed. Show yourself! A man in dark clothing stepped forward, hands slightly raised. Easy, Captain. I'm not here to hurt you. Rex bared his teeth. Harper didn't lower her weapon. You've got 10 seconds. My name is Julian Vega. I used to work internal affairs. I know what you're digging into. How? I used to dig too. Then someone buried me. Rex let out a low bark. Julian tossed a flash drive onto the table. This has everything. Langston's clinic was just one node. One of how many? Too many. Judges, doctors, cops. They used Camp Oak Ridge as a training ground. Then moved the kids. Where? That's the thing. Julian said. They're mobile now. Vans, unregistered properties. It's a rotating system. I tried tracking funding. They scrubbed me clean. I only survived because I played dead, and now you're back. Oh, Julian looked her dead in the eyes. Because you're the only one who didn't fold. Harper stared at the drive. What's on it? Enough to get killed over. Just then, Rex barked sharply. A red laser dot skimmed across the window. Down! Julian tackled Harper as the window shattered. A silenced bullet tore through the wall. Rex lunged toward the sound, crashing into the back door just as it swung open. Gunfire. Muffled. Screams. 2 men in black burst in. Harper returned fire, dropping one. The second ducked behind the island, spraying bullets wildly. Julian grabbed a kitchen stool, swung it hard, knocking the gunman into the fridge. Rex pounced, clamping down on the man's forearm, shaking until he dropped. Blood splattered. Screams. Then silence. The last attacker groaned on the floor. Harper kicked away his weapon. She knelt. Who sent you? He laughed, blood running from his lip. You think you're the first? Names. Check the city council. He passed out. Harper turned to Julian. You good? Not dead. Yet. She looked at Rex, still standing over the body, eyes burning. You saved us again, boy. Rex wagged his tail once, then turned back to the door, still tense. They didn't sleep that night. At dawn, Sophie arrived, eyes wide at the wreckage. What the hell happened? Harper handed her the drive. We've got names. Sophie plugged it into her laptop. Lines of encrypted data scrolled down. Julian leaned over. Focus on these file tags. CORE. That's their internal name for the operation. Sophie worked fast, typing furiously. 10 minutes later, she looked up. There's a ranch, outside Port Haven, matches a decommissioned juvenile facility, abandoned on paper. But they're still using it. Harper stood. We move tonight. Julian raised a brow. Just us? No. I'm calling in someone I trust. Later that day, Harper met with Sheriff Ben Trask. He crossed his arms. You're asking me to storm a black site without a warrant. I'm asking you to save kids, Ben. A pause. You bringing the dog? Harper smirked. Rex leads. That night, as the sun dipped behind the hills, 4 SUVs moved silently down a dirt road toward the shadowed ranch. Inside the lead vehicle, Harper loaded her weapon. Julian checked the drone feed. Thermal shows at least 8 heat signatures, 2 outside, 6 in the west wing. Harper looked to Rex. Ready? Rex barked once. Sharp and sure. The convoy stopped. Engines cut. Flashlights off. Harper moved first. Julian behind her. Sophie monitoring from the van. They reached the side gate. Locked. Rex leapt, hitting the release with his paw. Gate swung open. Inside. Silence. Then... A girl screamed. Harper ran. Rex sprinted ahead. The next seconds blurred. Footsteps. Gunfire. Screams. A man grabbed Harper from behind. She elbowed him hard, turned, and fired. Rex found the locked west wing door, slammed into it twice before it gave. Inside. Cages. 3 children. Shivering. Eyes wide. Harper's voice cracked. You're safe now. You're going home. Outside, sirens grew louder. Reinforcements. Backup. Justice. Julian looked around the property as officers cuffed suspects and loaded kids into waiting ambulances. I've seen some things, he said. But this is different. Harper nodded. It's not over. Rex stood by her side, quiet, watching, waiting for the next step. Thunder rolled across the hills of Port Haven as Harper stood in the conference room, staring at the whiteboard. Names. Arrows. Dates. The network was unraveling. Sophie walked in, pale. We've got a problem. Harper turned. Talk. The files we got from the ranch? Someone's wiping them. Remotely. Encryption self-destruct. We have minutes, maybe less. Julian grabbed his bag. Pull the drive, now. Sophie yanked the cord. The screen went black. Gone? Harper asked. Locally, yes, Sophie said. But I uploaded fragments to a cold server. We still have some. Give me a name. Sophie hesitated. Councilman Briggs. Harper's chest tightened. I knew it. Julian leaned in. He signed the funding authorizations for Camp Oak Ridge. His name is on every transfer. He's a primary node. Harper turned to Rex, who had been sitting at her feet. You ready to go hunting again, boy? Rex stood, tail stiff, eyes locked. That night, Harper parked across from Briggs' estate. Big house. Too quiet. Thermal? She asked Julian. Only 2 inside. Briggs and his wife. No staff, no kids, no dog. Perfect. They moved in silently. Rex led, nose low. He paused at the back patio. Unlocked. Inside, the air was heavy with cigar smoke. Classical music played low. Briggs sat in a leather chair, sipping bourbon like he was expecting them. You're late, he said. Harper aimed her weapon. Hands where I can see them. He didn't flinch. You think I don't know who you are, Captain? Rex growled. I know what you found. Briggs continued. The ranch. Langston. That pathetic groundskeeper. but you missed the heart. Enlighten me. Briggs smiled. It's not me. I'm a cog, a loyal one. But the real architect, you've already met him. Harper's breath caught. Julian stepped forward. Who? Ask your friend Julian what happened to his sister. Silence. Julian froze. What's he talking about? Harper asked. Julian's face turned white. She disappeared, he whispered. 15 years ago. Foster system lost the file. I never found out who took her. Briggs laughed. You think you stumbled into this war? No, you were baited. Rex barked. Harper snapped. On the ground, now! But Briggs didn't move. He reached for the table drawer. Rex lunged, gunshot. Harper hit the floor. Briggs screamed, blood sprayed the wall. Rex had clamped onto his forearm, dragging him down. Harper kicked the gun away. Get an ambulance, she shouted to Julian. Julian was still frozen. I said get it! He ran. Harper turned to Briggs. You're going to tell me everything. Briggs coughed. You're too late. Outside, a low rumble. Julian yelled from the hallway. Car bomb! Move! Harper grabbed Rex and dove behind the bar as the windows blew out. Heat, smoke, shrapnel everywhere. Silence followed. Then the sharp beeping of the security system. Rex stood up first, shook the dust from his coat. Harper groaned, blood on her forehead. Still with me, boy. He licked her hand once. Julian limped into view. He's dead. Briggs is gone. Harper forced herself to her feet. Then we hit back harder. Back at the precinct, Sophie had news. I traced a recurring wire transfer tied to Briggs' account. It's not from any known company. It's from a private equity fund called Aurelius Holdings. A shell? Worse. It's real, and one of their top partners. She pulled up a photo. Julian stared at the screen. Stumbled back. That's him, he whispered. That's the man who took her. Harper's eyes narrowed. We have a face. Rex growled low, staring at the screen like he knew. Julian clenched his fists. His name's Everett Kane. He owns over half the real estate around Oak Ridge. Harper nodded slowly. Then it ends with him. The Aurelius Holdings building towered over downtown Port Haven, all steel and glass. Clean, cold, sterile, like the people who ran it. Harper stood across the street in an unmarked SUV, watching through binoculars. Rex sat beside her, calm but alert. Julian loaded his pistol. He's up there. Penthouse floor. Kane doesn't even pretend to hide anymore. Does he know we're coming? Julian glanced over. He always knows. Sophie's voice buzzed in their earpiece. Security rotation updated. You've got a 90-second window to enter through the service elevator. After that, full lockdown. Harper nodded. Copy. She turned to Rex. Let's finish this. They moved fast, slipping through a side alley, bypassing the cameras Sophie had looped. Inside, fluorescent lights flickered as they entered the service corridor. Rex stopped suddenly, growled. What is it, boy? Footsteps. A security guard rounded the corner. Saw them. Reached for his radio. Rex launched. The guard hit the floor hard, radio clattering away. One bark, and the man froze. Harper stepped over him. Stay down. They reached the elevator. Julian punched in the code Sophie provided. Doors slid shut. Ascent began. Julian checked his gun again. You know Kane's not going to run. I'm counting on it. Ding. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse. Carpeted floors. Crystal light fixtures. A wall of floor-to-ceiling windows framing the night skyline. and Everett Kane, seated behind a desk, sipping wine like they were guests. "Well," he said, smiling, "took you long enough." Rex growled, stepping forward. Kane didn't flinch. "I assume you've come for answers. Justice? Or maybe just blood?" Harper raised her gun. "Hands on the desk." Kane raised an eyebrow. "You think it's that simple?" Julian's voice was cold. "You took my sister." Kane stood slowly. "She was property. Nothing more." Julian fired. The bullet shattered a glass behind Kane, missing by inches. Kane smiled wider. "Still emotional, I see." Harper stepped in front of Julian. "He wants revenge. I want truth." Kane shrugged. "Then listen carefully. You've exposed a toe of the beast. But we are the body, the marrow. The system bends because we tell it to." Rex growled louder, body tense. Kane reached into his coat. "Don't!" Harper shouted. Too late. Kane pulled out a small remote. Click. The penthouse shook. Julian turned. "He triggered something." Sophie's voice burst through the earpiece. "Explosion detected. Sub-basement. You need to get out now." Kane laughed. "I never planned to walk out, but neither will you." Rex lunged before anyone else could move. He hit Kane square in the chest, knocking the remote loose. Harper grabbed it, tossed it across the room. Kane hit the floor hard, groaning. Julian pinned him. Harper grabbed his lapel. "Where's your main server?" Kane coughed blood. "Buried, like everything else." Rex barked, teeth bared inches from Kane's face. Kane's eyes twitched. "In the vineyard," he whispered. "Cellar, under the old chapel." Harper stood. "We'll find it." Kane smiled faintly. "No, you won't. The second I go offline, they erase everything. You think I'm the top? I'm a cog, just like Briggs, just like Langston. You want to burn the system? You'll have to scorch the earth." Julian raised his gun again. Harper stepped between them. "Not yet." Sirens screamed outside, flashing lights reflected on the glass. Sophie's voice returned. "PD's arriving. You've got 30 seconds. Harper turned to Julian. "Grab the files, his laptop, that safe behind him." Julian moved fast. They bound Kane, left him slumped by the desk. As Harper reached the elevator, Rex paused, looked back, stared at Kane like he knew the man was poison, then turned away. Downstairs, chaos. Smoke alarms, confused security. They vanished into the night. At Sophie's bunker an hour later, the laptop hummed to life. Sophie worked fast, decrypting files, tracing hidden logs. Harper leaned over her shoulder. "Tell me we got something." Sophie nodded slowly. "We have enough to bury him, and enough to make the next target." Julian stood silently watching the screen. One folder caught his eye. "Wait." He clicked it open. Photos. Dozens. One face. A girl. 15 years ago. Julian's voice broke. "That's her. That's my sister." Sophie zoomed in. "Location tagged. That's Port Haven." Harper turned to Julian. "She's alive." Rex sat quietly in the center of the room, watching, waiting, as if he already knew. The vineyard sat quiet under a grey Oregon sky. Once a thriving winery, it had gone dormant years ago. Now the earth around it felt heavy, as if it knew what was buried beneath. Julian stood at the gate, fists clenched. "She's in there. I feel it." Harper checked her weapon. "Then let's bring her home." Rex moved beside her, focused, his breath slow, measured, like he was saving energy for something big. Sophie patched through on comms. "Thermal's messy, cellar's shielded. You'll be blind once inside." "Understood," Harper said. They breached the back fence. No alarms, no patrols, too quiet. They made it to the old chapel in minutes. The wood sagged. Ivy wrapped the windows, but the door was new, reinforced. Julian ran his fingers over the lock. Military-grade keypad. "Can you get in?" Harper asked. Julian didn't answer. He just pulled out a small charge from his pack and planted it. "Back!" The door blew inward with a low boom. Inside, stairs spiraled down into darkness. Rex growled. Julian flicked on a tactical light. "This place reeks." They moved fast. At the bottom, a steel corridor stretched ahead. Cameras. Motion sensors. "EMP out," Harper ordered. Julian tossed the device. Lights flickered. Cameras died. They pushed forward. At the final door, Rex stopped. Barked once. Sharp. Urgent. Harper moved first. The door creaked open. Inside, a wide room lit by overhead fluorescents. Bunk beds, filing cabinets, surveillance monitors. And in the corner, a girl, shackled, pale, eyes hollow. Julian froze. "Cora." She didn't answer, didn't move. He stepped closer. "Cora, it's me. Julian." Tears welled in her eyes. "Julian?" He dropped to his knees. "You're safe now. I promise." Rex stayed at the doorway, nose twitching. Something was wrong. Harper scanned the room. "Sophie, you seeing this?" "Affirmative. I'm logging faces. There's at least 6 more kids on file." Suddenly a loud click. Steel doors slammed shut behind them. Gas hissed from vents above. "Move!" Harper shouted. Julian grabbed Cora. Harper yanked open a side panel. "Vent shaft!" Rex barked and jumped up first, paws scrambling until he got leverage. Harper boosted Julian and Cora up. "Go!" She climbed last as smoke filled the room. They emerged into a side hallway, coughing. "Secondary exit!" Sophie yelled. "North wing! Fast!" They ran. Footsteps echoed ahead. 3 guards turned the corner, rifles raised. Rex launched without hesitation, tackled the first man, teeth locking on his wrist. Gunfire erupted. Harper and Julian returned fire. 2 guards dropped. The last turned to run. Rex chased, leapt, and dragged him down with a vicious snap. Blood pooled. Silence followed. Julian pulled Cora into a side room. "Breathe. Just breathe." She looked at him, trembling. "You really came?" "Always." Harper's radio crackled. "PD en route. ETA 6 minutes." She nodded. "We're done here." Back outside, the clouds finally broke. Rain washed over them as officers stormed the vineyard. Paramedics rushed Cora into an ambulance. Julian didn't let go of her hand. Harper stood back, watching. Rex sat at her feet, quiet, calm. "Another one saved, boy." He looked up, eyes steady, as if to say, "Not done yet." Sophie called. "You need to see this." Back at HQ, the files from Kane's drive had decrypted. One folder stood out, labeled Genesis. Inside, videos, meetings, names, and a list of upcoming targets. Harper scanned it, then stopped. "Port Haven Elementary?" Julian leaned in. "Tomorrow. That's the next hit." Harper looked at Rex. His ears twitched, head tilted, ready. She whispered, "Then we move now." The sun hadn't yet broken over Port Haven. The streets were still and quiet, but the parking lot of Port Haven Elementary was lit up by flashing red and blue. SWAT surrounded the perimeter. Bomb squad on standby. The school had been evacuated 30 minutes earlier. Harper stood just outside the west entrance, bulletproof vest strapped tight, eyes locked on the blueprint in her hand. "There's a tunnel underneath," Sophie's voice buzzed through her earpiece. "Old maintenance access, long sealed off. but Kane's file showed activity there last week. Julian checked the chamber of his rifle. Underground again. Harper nodded. Of course. That's where they always hide. Rex stood between them, eyes sharp, ears forward. He didn't move a muscle. Until Harper looked down and whispered, "Fired." Rex bolted toward the building's foundation. Not a bark, not a growl, just precision. Pure instinct. They followed him to a rusted gate near the loading dock, locked with 3 chains. Julian clipped the bolt. The gate swung open with a groan. Darkness. Rex didn't hesitate. They moved through the tunnel, the air thick with mold and something else. Gasoline. Trap? Julian whispered. Harper scanned the walls. They're planning to burn it. Bury the whole thing again. At the far end, a steel door. Locked. But Rex barked twice. Urgent. Desperate. Harper pressed her ear to the metal. Children. Faint voices, crying. They're in there, she said. We breach. No mistakes. Julian set the charge. Boom. Smoke cleared. Inside, a narrow holding cell. 4 children, no guards, just surveillance cameras in every corner. They rushed in. It's okay, Harper said. You're safe. We've got you. Rex walked in slowly, tail low. One by one, the children reached out and touched him. No fear, just relief. Julian radioed out. Target secured. Prep med evac. But Harper didn't move. Her eyes were on the far wall. A message spray-painted in red. Genesis doesn't die. Later, as news trucks swarmed the school and agents carried out evidence boxes, Harper sat on the steps, watching the children laugh for the first time in who knows how long. Julian came up beside her. They'll try again. They always do. He looked down at Rex, lying at her feet. But they don't get past him. Rex looked up, tongue out, eyes bright. Sophie joined them with a phone in her hand. The footage is live. Already viral. You want to say something? Harper shook her head. Let the dog speak. The screen cut to footage of Rex standing in the tunnel doorway, barking once, then turning back into the dark. The caption read, German Shepherd saves children. Again. And beneath it, a simple call to action. If you believe in loyalty, courage, and second chances, follow our channel, share the story, support real heroes like Rex. Back at HQ, Harper looked at the wall of photos. The kids, the names, the ones saved, the ones still missing. Julian pinned one last picture to the board. Cora, smiling again. Harper glanced at Rex. Ready for the next one? Rex barked once. Sharp. Sure. And they all knew. He was never done.